Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and non-binary, we're here tonight to announce the Oscar for Best Movie of All Time. And our nominees are Jack Nicholson with Sleazy and Black and Relative, Jack Black with Video Game Movie 3, this time it's digital, and Emma Stone for Stalin, the pretty cool story of a pretty cool guy. And our winner is Ben Leonard with yet another decent video idea.
Thank you so much. I mean, who can honestly say what a good movie is? I mean, everyone has their own opinions.
Okay, show the video. Stop!
Hey guys, remember that video we made about big new things in the works? Well, this was it. We're gonna be watching my friend Stone's top 10 favorite movies of all time. So, moving forward, I feel like I don't have to explain myself anymore, but yeah, we're gonna be watching movies today and reviewing them. I'm gonna put them on a tiered chart behind me. Awesome. Okay, let's get into this. I'm excited. Now, of course, we will have to be getting into some rules, set up some groundwork, if we will, for this video. Rule number 1, I have to watch the film in its entirety. No exceptions. If I've watched the movie before, I still gotta watch it. If the movie's god-awful, I still gotta watch it. If the movie explodes in my face, still gotta watch it. Rule number 2, I'm going to be ranking these movies based off the viewing I did for this video. So no outside influence, no outside biases. If I've seen it before, if I haven't seen it before, I'm ranking it off the viewing I did for this. If I watched a movie 5 times before, I'm going to be ranking it on the 6th view, okay? Rule number 3, all of my rankings and reviews are going to be based off my opinion. I know people can get really upset at things like that, but, you know, I'm a film major, and you're not. So my opinion is automatically better than yours. I've seen a camera. And with all that being said, we will now move on to the video. But the real question is, whose list do I watch first? Well, you know what they say. He who is without sin shall cast the first stone. And I do have the first stone. This stone. My stone. We're doing Stone's list. Next scene. What a movie to start off with. The 1985 film Back to the Future is a real classic, directed by Robert Zemeckis, and stars Christopher Lloyd, one crispy glove, and Michael J. Fox, pre-James Bond Martini, of course. Now, you see, the movie was originally going to have Eric Schultz in the film. However, it was criticized for being too sci-fi. And the reason behind that is because, well, there were no ginger people in the year 1950. It's true, look it up. The story goes like this. Marty McFly is an average 80s teen. One day, his friend Doc, who's a perfectly reasonable age to be hanging out with a teenager in the 1980s, invents a time machine out of a DeLorean. Due to a group of terrorists, yes, terrorists, Marty tries to escape using the DeLorean and ends up being sent to the past! Which sounds like a crazy premise, but if I saw my grand friend die at the hands of terrorists, I too would jump into an experimental vehicle instead of hiding behind the semi. Anyways, Marty finds his way into his hometown, but 30 years into the past. And after making a real shit show and blending in as well as Lady Gaga and a police lineup, Marty decides to go find Doc and try and get home. Unfortunately for him, it turns out that after getting hit by a car and not getting proper medical attention, you know, as you do, his mother, from back in the 50s, falls in love with him. You know, as you do. Yeah, this is the one part of the movie where, as an adult, I start to feel a little bit weird. But the show must go on. At the risk of fading away from existence, Marty has to get his parents back together, while Doc tries to find a way to send him back to the future. I said the thing. After trying many times to get his mom and dad together, and failing, Marty decides the only way to do it is at the dance. Which also happens to be the only night Doc can send Marty back. And you see, all this would be fine if there wasn't this guy named Biff, who is just there to make their lives miserable. Anyways, after kissing his mother, getting locked in a trunk, having his dad beat up Biff, and playing a kick-ass guitar solo, Marty makes his way back to the DeLorean and is sent home. On top of all that, it seems that things have changed for the better, leaving his family better off. The movie ends with Doc coming from the future and wanting Marty to go on another adventure with him. Overall, this film is a pretty good time. I mean, everybody kind of likes it at the end of the day. Now, obviously, the film hasn't aged all too well. However, I guarantee everybody thinks it's at least a little fun. This film was produced by my personal good buddy of mine, Jerry Bruckheimer. Pirates of the Caribbean is a movie based off the ride that Disney had, and the first of many. It stars Johnny Depp in one of his most prolific roles that he's had in the last few decades, along with a few other notable names, such as Jeffrey Rush, Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom. Now that's some man. Orlando Bloom. The film goes a little something like this. Elizabeth Swann and Will Turner are apparently in love with each other, and they live in this port town in 18th century Caribbean. However, things go for the worse when Jack Sparrow shows up looking for a boat. The film gets a little convoluted, so I think the best way to review this movie is as follows. Ryan?
Okay! So, Will likes Liz and Liz likes Will. Jack says Liz life goes to prison. Jeffrey Rush shows up being a pirate and whatnot. Liz gets taken and then tells him that she's a Turner. Will tries and rescues Liz, but fails, so then Will saves Jack. Jack and Will steal the boat. Turns out the pirates that kidnapped Liz are not ordinary pirates, but they're mortal skeleton pirates. Got that? Okay. So, the mortal skeleton pirates were cursed by Cortez's treasure. That's a problem, because you see the problem here, because they have the treasure, the curse. So, Jack betrays Will. Will is get away. Jack is captured. Boat fight ensues. Will turns himself in for Liz. Turns himself in for Liz. And so, after he turns himself in for Liz, Jack betrays Liz, joins the pirates. They have a deal, rescue Will. And Jack kills Will. Liz escapes through Jack's crew. The crew betray Jack. Liz saves Will. Jack kills Barbosa. Jack is taken to prison. Will loves Liz. Will loves Jack. And everyone got that. I'm not doing that again. Not.
As a kid, I loved this movie. It was one of the first Star Wars movies I ever saw, and frankly, I liked Jar Jar and his silly antics. In my opinion, he kind of reminded me of Mater from Cars. Jar Jar Blinkers. The movie was directed by George Lucas, which
marks the beginning of the end.
It also stars Ian McGregor, Natalie Portman, and Liam Neeson. It also kicks off the prequel trilogy. The movies start with two Jedi, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan, trying to mediate a dispute between the Trade Federation and Naboo, a nearby planet. This happens because they thought Natalie Portman was cute and they wanted to ask her out, but they didn't know how. Look, I don't know. I'm sure somebody knows in the vast world of Star Wars why the Trade Federation does anything in this movie, but for the most part, no one really knows why or cares. After negotiations broke down, the Trade Federation invade Naboo and take over the planet. That's old school capitalism, baby. However, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan are able to get to the planet and save the Queen. They also meet my main man, Jar Jar. After leaving the planet, they get stranded on another planet called Tatooine. Who would have guessed? Where they find a little slave boy named Anakin and gamble away his life for ship parts. I'd do it. However, while they're trying to leave this planet, turns out that a guy who looks like a sleep paralysis demon while simultaneously doesn't look like he's gotten any sleep, maybe that's the problem, attacks them. The two Jedi, the Queen, and a literal child go off to speak to the people who run the UN of Space, which is on a planet that sounds like Croissant, which would make it a planet of French people, in which case, I already hate it. Meanwhile, Qui-Gon Jinn asks the Jedi Council if he can keep his newly found stray Anakin and teach him the ways of the Jedi. They say no, but Qui-Gon Jinn don't give two shits what Space Kermit and Jules Winfield think. After democracy fails the Queen, she and the Jedi go back to Naboo and get help from an army of Jar Jars. Hell yeah! Eventually they agree, and all-out war between the Nabooans and the Trade Federation happens. The Jedi leave Anakin to fend for himself, which leads to him killing thousands of people. All the while, the Queen takes back her throne. However, the Jedi get caught up with their sleep-deprived friend. Darth Maul gets cut in half, but not before taking Qui-Gon Jinn out. In the end, Team Jar Jar wins, and the Queen gives fuck-me eyes to a 9-year-old boy. Look, this movie was not that bad, but even as a Star Wars fan, it was still kind of a slog to get through. And frankly, I was just more bored more times than I wasn't. I mean, yeah, sure, there's the pod racing scene, but who really knows anything else that happened in that movie? And I'm a Jar Jar supporter. And another thing. Who has the balls to knock on my door while I'm trying to film something? Chris Hemsworth, what are you doing here?
Hey, it's me, Chris Hemsworth. I just wanted to say hi and tell you about this movie that came out earlier this year. It's part of the Mad Max franchise.
Why did you tell me this earlier? The fact that you did it makes me furious. Oh?
This movie starts with a young Furiosa being taken from her home in the Green Place by Dr. Dementis' Raiders. Which sounds like a pretty cool band name if you ask me. Furiosa's mother chases after them, but in the end fails to protect her after she gets there. She then ends up being crucified, which is no big deal, because all the cool people who get crucified end up resurrecting 3 days later. Later in her life, Dr. Dementis tries and takes the Citadel, the last place with food and water. After negotiating with the Citadel and killing one of the guys in charge of Gastown, which looks like even blinking hurts him, Dr. Dementis takes control of Gastown in return for Furiosa and the Organic Mechanic, which is what I will be calling all doctors from now on. Furiosa eventually escapes from the Citadel, but has nowhere to go, so she helps the Citadel fight a war against Dr. Dementis, eventually killing him for everything that he's done to her. The movie ends where Mad Max Fury Road picks up. Oh, and there's a lot of cars. Like, a lot of cars! Yeah, this movie felt like it could have been shorter. But, you know, they love showing off their cars. Next film. This movie is a fun watch, but my complaints from Furiosa are obviously transferred over to this film too. This causes me to be a sad sax. The movie starts off with Tom Hardy, who plays Max in this film. I guess they couldn't get Mel Gibson to stop leaving voicemails. Getting captured by Immortan Joe's warriors. Seemingly unrelated, Furiosa, who works for Immortan Joe, steals his wives and his war rig. Which is like if Ryan stole my girlfriend and drove off in my car. So, I can see why Joe is pretty upset. He's the victim here! Anywho, Max, being used as a blood bag for one of the warriors, is chained to the car as they chase Furiosa down the road. After the warriors catch up to the war rig, Max and Furiosa kick some serious butt. But Immortan Joe just keeps coming, so after a shaky alliance between Furiosa and Max, they decide to drive the rig to the Green Place, which is the last known place that is unapocalyptian. However, the warrior who was using Max as a blood bag, his name is Nux, hops onto the rig and tries to attack Furiosa. But he gets thrown off the rig. Can't blame a guy for trying. After, they arrive at the canyon controlled by bikers who end up betraying Furiosa, and Immortan Joe and his warriors are attacking. This is a good time to point out that Immortan Joe calls in his allies, one of which is named the People Eater, which is a disturbing name on its own, but it's made even worse when you realize that he's morbidly obese. I'm just saying, you don't get a name like that out of posterity, man. Moving on. After escaping the canyon and accidentally killing one of the wives, oops, Nux hops on the back of the rig, and this time, he's here to help. Narrowly escaping Immortan Joe again, Furiosa and Max end up driving through a swamp, but get stuck and, well, hunted down by another one of Immortan Joe's allies, the Bullet Farmer. Furiosa and Max, along with the wives and Nux, eventually drive the war rig unstuck and blind the Bullet Farmer. They eventually lose Immortan Joe and come across a tribe of women who Furiosa recognize as the people from the Green Place. The women tell them that the Green Place was destroyed, and that's the last of the people. This is the all is lost moment, and for what it's worth, it's done really well here. Essentially what happens is, Max says, "Hey guys, why don't we go back to the Citadel?" And everyone agrees with him. You see, they do a really good job of giving Max that choice of going on with his life or falling into his old habits of helping people out. And I think they did a really good job just kind of making him do that. In the end, it's not too bad, and I'm glad they didn't linger on it forever. They agree and have an all-out war with Immortan Joe, while they try to race back to the Citadel before him. Nux sacrifices himself and crashes the war rig, stopping Immortan Joe and his crew. As Furiosa and the rest of them arrive at the Citadel, everyone rejoices as Furiosa and the gang are now in control. The movie ends with Max sneaking away to go off on another adventure. Now, I think this movie is better than Furiosa, but I still don't like the Mad Max movies in general. I mean, they're fun, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that really enjoy the fast-paced car scenes, but personally, it's not necessarily for me. Well, now that that's over, what film's next? If only I knew. I know who to ask.
So Ben, got your next movie right here. I should let you know I have to bust a couple heads to get this information.
Gross.
Just take it.
Okay.
The Dark City is a good movie. More than a good movie. It's a movie that gets the Ben Leonard thumbs up. It was a box office bomb when it first came out in 1998, but has gathered a little bit of a cult following afterwards. The movie starts with the definition of how the aliens work. You see, they're using this thing called tuning that's essentially the ability to change reality. And the alien race is trying to figure out how to experiment with it before they all die out. This is a kind of a spoiler in my opinion. It ruins the twist of the film, but I don't know. I feel like it still adds a little bit to it. John Murdoch, played by Rufus Sewell, wakes up in the middle of a crime scene not knowing anything or remembering what his past was. He runs into a group of people known as the Strangers, and, you've probably guessed it by now, they try to kill him. John escapes using newfound reality-bending abilities, but a detective who is investigating a series of murder cases seems to have evidence that John Murdoch is the killer. Soon after, when the clock strikes 12, John gets a real peek behind the curtain, when the whole city starts to shift and move and everybody freezes in place. Soon after, the detective catches up with John, but finds him to be innocent. So, they go to confront a man who's believed to be connected to the Strangers, and the murders, Dr. Schreiber. The doctor reveals the Stranger's goals and explains to John why he can't remember anything. The aliens made a fake city that they control in order to study humans and their life. John the detective takes Schreiber and tries to leave the city, only to realize that he was telling the truth and on their side, being the person who didn't complete John's memory injection before he woke up. Frustrated, John and the detective break a hole in the wall, showing that they are, in fact, in space. After John's wife gets kidnapped, the Strangers ransom her for John's life. John agrees. As the Strangers are trying to figure out why John has these powers, he uses the powers against them and destroys the machine that changes the city. As the Strangers are now defeated, John changes the city to make the sun rise for the very first time. The movie ends with John trying to reintroduce himself to his wife, who unfortunately had her mind wiped. Now, you see, this movie is a fantastic movie, and I'm sure that my review and my summary of it just did not do it any justice. So, I'm actually thinking about maybe doing a full Dark City review. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. But in the meantime, I can leave you with this information. Watch it. It's so good. You're gonna love it. If you don't, feel free to mail any one of my editors a pipe bomb. Here's their address. Scientists find a portal to another planet and discover the truth about Earth. Now that's a story worth gening your creams about. But for me, there's just one really big issue about this film. And that is our main character, Daniel Jackson. For the love of all that is holy, this man is insufferable. Now look, I think James Spader did a really great job in this film, but the character itself makes me wish that the aliens came to our planet and just killed us all! But I digress. The movie starts with an archaeological dig back in the 1920s, where they find a large ring of unknown origin. Many years later, a woman who is at that very dig recruits our protagonist, Daniel, who is so incompetent at his job as a linguist that he can't even speak right. Later, after being there for a few minutes, Daniel cracks the code from the hieroglyphs. Which is impossible and stupid. One, because hieroglyphics are logophonetic and logophonic, which essentially means that they can only be interpreted as they are written, because they represent words and parts of words as they were chiseled in. And two, he just goes in and just slightly changes the words that are already there, as if he had subtext, which he can't possibly have had. Afterwards, we get properly introduced to Kurt Russell's character Jack, who recently lost his son and is taking over the project. Soon after Daniel gets to work, they find that the Stargate can open and sends a team to explore what's on the other side. This is where Jack and his team start to set up camp after someone can't read the hieroglyphics on the other side of the portal. And by someone, I mean Daniel. They all find aliens there later and interrogate and learn from them in hopes that they can find a way home. However, it turns out that these aren't aliens at all, but actually ancient Egyptians who were brought here by Ra, who happens to be an alien. When Ra finds out that people have made it from the other side of the Stargate, he plans to destroy Earth. This is where Jack and Daniel end up working together and defeating Ra by mailing him a huge-ass Acme bomb. Jack and what's left of his team go back to Earth, leaving Daniel behind, and, well, that's the end of the movie. It's fun. It's stupid, really. Frankly, no, it's just stupid. This movie's stupid.
Yeah!
Guys.
Yeah, man! We're the Yay Brigade.
Okay. Why are you here?
We're here to hype you up for the next movie, Final Countdown!
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That must mean it's like the best film. It's the greatest film in the list, even.
No, that's why we're here. We're here to hype you up.
Oh. The Final Countdown as a movie has such a great premise, but falls short in almost every other way. The Final Countdown is a movie about a boat that time travels to Pearl Harbor. The movie stars Kirk Douglas, who is the father of our American president, and Michael Sheen. So the movie starts with a naval ship, the USS Nimitz, doing naval practice in the mid-Pacific, while an efficiency analyst, Mr. Lansky, watches them, which is kind of like having your boss breathing down your neck while trying to fill out very important tax forms. After a very intimate, and dare I say, sexual encounter with the wing commander, the US Nimitz, which is a very fun word to say, by the way, Nimitz, has an encounter with an anomaly at sea. Turns out that it's one of those wormhole things that the Doctor uses in the intro. The time portal sends them back in time to the days leading up to Pearl Harbor. After losing contact with everyone in the present, they still don't realize that they're in the past, and they send out jets to do recon. The jets come back with photos of the US naval ships that were sunk after Pearl Harbor. After, the jets see a yacht that was destroyed by the Japanese.
Damn Neko girls!
Soon after a big dogfight, the Nimitz takes down a Japanese plane and rescues the survivors of the yacht. Turns out that one of the survivors was actually a senator that was supposed to die during the 9/11 attack. Oh shit, that's the wrong... It turns out that one of the survivors was a senator who was supposed to die during the Pearl Harbor attack. Way to go, idiots. That's an even worse decision than, I don't know, sleeping with your mom. Oh, wait. They then realize that they have time traveled, and they have a tough decision to make. Paper, or plastic? I mean, to let the Japanese attack, as history says, or to save hundreds. Meanwhile, a Japanese pilot escapes and starts taking people hostage. However, that's really stupid on his part because no one fucks with the Marines! Afterwards, the senator's receptionist and the wing commander realize that they have something going on. Soon, they try to leave the senator and the receptionist on the island. The senator takes a helicopter hostage and blows himself up, leaving the wing commander and the receptionist on the island. Unfortunately, the time portal opens up again and there's not enough time to correct everything. The Nimitz goes back through the time portal and it's brought back to the 1980s, where we see an older wing commander and receptionist being the ones sending Lasky on the ship in the first place. Wow. This movie was about nothing. None of the characters made a lasting decision, and anything they did do just came off as a passive character. I mean, really, just do something. Ugh, please, whatever the next movie is, let it be better than this one.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw that, you would even see it clouds.
Everyone who celebrates Christmas or believes reindeers exist knows this movie. It's a holiday classic and it will probably run forever. Unless it turns out that Cornelius was a public groper. Fun fact, this movie was originally sponsored by General Electric, and it aired on NBC. So you know what that means. Kenneth is part of the Red Noseverse. The movie starts off with Big Daddy Donner and his wife having a child named Rudolph. However, it turns out that Rudolph has a birth defect that makes his nose glow. So, like a good father, Donner tells Rudolph that he's ugly and should cover his nose. He's better than most. Other dads would have just sent him to a Pray the Nose Away camp. No joke, Santa, literal Santa, shows up and says, yeah, you know what, your son is fucking weird, and he'll never be normal. Okay, Santa, okay, fine. I'll start taking advice from you whenever you stop breaking into people's houses and stealing food. Anyways, time passes, as time does, and it's time for the Reindeer Games, the most extreme sport on MTV since electric chair checkers. Up next, flying, because, yeah! After, Rudolph gets hot and bothered by a girl and loses his fake nose, and everybody starts to make fun of him. So much so that Comet expels him, which is discrimination! Nah! Side note, that's not actually a side note, there's this elf named Hermie who, well, he's an elf, and wants to be a dentist, but that's not possible because elves are born to do one thing and one thing only, and that's make toys. Anyways, Hermie and Rudolph head out on their own until they meet a prospector named Yukon Cornelius. But it isn't long till the big bitch of the north starts following them. That's right, the abominable snow monster is after them.
Yeah, man. Like I saw him walk out of the woods with like a little dude and a dude with a flashlight and like a public rope. Yeah, him. And they walked right into that IHOP. They walked like right in there and ordered one of everything on the menu, man. I swear. So like I thought I was going to pass out due to the breath, and like no joke, like whoo! It was like a king rat on bath salts. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like yeah, crazy. Got cash on me? Give me your money.
They find their way to the island of misfit toys, who only want to be loved by children. After making a deal with the king, Rudolph goes off on his own so his nose doesn't endanger his new friends. Yes, because leaving your friends in a strange foreign land is way safer than traveling alone. Time passes as time tends to do, and Rudolph is a grown man now. Deer? He's grown. After returning home, he finds out that his family has been kidnapped by the abominable snow monster. After failing to save his family and Clarice, Yukon saves the day by sacrificing himself, the same way Gamora did in Endgame. Hermie's also there, but I don't care enough about him or his deal to remember what he does. They all go home, minus a public groper, and this is the part we all know. There's a storm, Christmas is cancelled, Rudolph has a very niche ability that helps everyone. Everyone apologizes because years of bigotry can be swept under the rug when you're useful to Santa. Also, Yukon Cornelius is still alive, and the abominable snow monster is good now because someone had to trim the tree, and it sure as hell wasn't going to be the damn snowman!
Mayo Bear, what are you doing here?
I'm not doing anything with the mayonnaise.
I didn't think you were. But you saying that makes me think you got the mayonnaise stuck on your penis again.
What's over there?
Huh?
Is that the next movie?
I mean, yeah, it is, but, like, and he's gone. And he stole the mayonnaise!
Glory, glory, hallelujah! This film takes place during the American Civil War and follows the 54th Regiment, who is considered to be one of the first black regiments in the war. Just from the description alone, you might think that this is Oscar bait. However, I do think that this film was really good, and it showed the struggles of both the black people and their plight for discrimination, and the logistical problems of the people trying to help them. I do think that the film deserves all and any awards given to it.
Really, everyone should watch this movie. Stop this video right now, go watch it, come back, let's see if we agree.
The movie starts with Matthew Broderick taking 2d6 piercing damage and being sent back home. After he recovers, he's put in charge of the 54th Regiment. Afterwards, we get to meet some of the regiment, and might I say, this is a damn good cast.
We're talking Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, Andre Braugher, Jimmy Kennedy, a couple of white folks in there for good measure. I mean, it's just star-studded.
Anyways, after the Emancipation Proclamation, the South made a decree saying that all black soldiers would be sold and their commanders shot.
So the vibes were all good, except they weren't.
The 54th stay strong and continue. We then get to see the men train, but it turns out that all is not too well in the Union camps either. Shaw asks his commanders to give his troops the supplies and the respect that they deserve, but oops, turns out racism's all too real in 19th century America. We then get to see Shaw and his men bond and earn each other's respect. When the training is done, the boys get to see some real action and commit war crimes?
Yeah, there's a scene in the movie where Shaw and the other Union troops plunder a town after they've already surrendered, and it's not the best looking on their troop. However, Shaw was under threat of losing his troop if he didn't join in. So,
Later, it turns out that the 54th may not even be able to fight. However, remember that war crimes thing from before? Yeah, that one. Shaw used it against his commanders and was allowed to bring his troops to the battlefront. With some fighting and a few injuries along the way, the troops take James Island and proceed to Fort Wagner. Now this is where I get goosebumps. The 54th lead the attack on the fort and
lost! Yep, they lose. Turns out that a single troop cannot take on a full fort with naval suppression on their own. Cool to watch, though.
The movie ends with the text that tells the audience that because of these brave men, the Union let more black men into the army and helped lead them to victory in the war later on.
Well, guys, that was definitely a bunch of movies I just watched. Overall, like I said, these movies, while on the whole, were actually kind of good. Not every movie suits everybody, but who knows? Maybe one of these movies I didn't like that you liked. Leave a comment below and tell me your thoughts and opinions. Well, guys, I forgot to actually rank them while writing the script in the video. So, we're just going to do it here on this giant tier list. That's right. So there are 10 movies in total, and I figured we might as well just go in order of how the video presented them. The first one, boom, we have... Shit, I forgot what the first one was. Oh, okay. Boom, Back to the Future. Classic, everybody loves it. You know what? I gotta be honest, it's fine to me. It didn't age that well. I'm gonna put this top of B tier. Boom. Phantom Menace. Everybody, a lot of people hate the prequels. I think they're fine. This movie was still slow to get through, so I'm gonna put this in. D tier. Boom. D for. Darth Maul. Next, Pirates of the Caribbean. C tier. For the C. Hard. Pirates.
Next is Furiosa. Now, I'm all for strong female leads, but she doesn't really talk in this film. So, also Cars. So I'm just gonna put that. That's bottom of D tier. Bottom of D tier. Mad Max Fury Road. A lot of fury, not a single road. Gotta be honest. Misleading title. I'm gonna put that in C tier. Bottom of C tier. Next is Dark City. Genuinely fun movie that I didn't expect to have as much fun with. I think I was going to go in A tier, but I have to put like a little side note on that one. That one's definitely because of opinion. I like the movie. Next is Stargate. What the fuck was Stargate? Yeah, no. You know what? Put that in F tier. Stargate's bad. Don't like that. The Final Countdown. It's a movie about nothing. Well, it's not a movie about nothing. It's a movie about Pearl Harbor, but they still let Pearl Harbor happen. Arguably one of the worst decisions that ever happened in that movie. I'm gonna put that also F tier, but above Stargate, because Stargate is pedantic and stupid. Oh. Next is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it goes directly into definitely B tier. It's a classic. Everybody loves that. It's good. Everybody loves it. Can't really think anything bad about it, other than like the buttload of sequels it got that were just terrible. But we're not here to talk about those. And then finally, the creme de la creme. The crop de la creme. Oh shit! Glory! I totally remembered that one. We're gonna have to edit the shit out of this. Woo! Glory, I'm gonna put that again in A tier. Glory's a good movie. It's awesome. It has some great acting power. My only concern is just that, you know, like, it seems very weak as far as the telling of the black people's strife here in America. But overall, it's still a very good film and a very good film about the strife. So yeah, definitely A tier. And again, I can't stress enough that we just decided to do this off the cuff. So yeah. Oh, look at that, I'm getting big! Oh, I'm giant! Now I'm tiny. I'm a tiny guy. Now I'm blasting off into space, and I'm freezing because I don't have a helmet.
Now Carlos's paycheck's gonna get like 10 times bigger. Imaginary paycheck.
Okay.
If you guys would like to see more of this kind of content, I have 3 other friends already lined up who shared their lists, so maybe we'll make another one, but only if you guys want to see it. Okay, well, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video.